Welcome everyone to the February edition of Conversations with Archbishop Joseph Kurtz. As always, please be in touch with us and with your comments, your feedback, some questions perhaps. And if you want to do that, as you can see on the screen, you can write to us at conversations@archlu.org. Now, last month, we just did a little piece to introduce the Synod on the bishops that the Holy Father, Pope Francis, has called. And we thought it would be really helpful to talk more about that during this episode, Archbishop. It's an important part of the whole Church. There's been so much media and conversation about it. So help us, what is the Synod?
It's good. I'm glad you asked because, Brian, you know, Pope Francis has really given us a new opportunity to talk about things that have been with us for a while. Especially, he said, not only does he want synods, the word itself means to come together. Okay. And so, like the synoptic gospels, or the three gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, that kind of together you can look at them and see their similarities. Well, synod is a bringing together for a meeting. And it's called the Synod of Bishops. Now, the bishops are responsible to listen and consult with the people. And our Holy Father said to us, as you remember last year, I really want to take this seriously. So let's consult. And thank God you helped immensely, and so many other people did in that first phase. So where are we now? Here we are in the month of February. October will be the first of two synods. It'll be a smaller one. I know that the presidents of the Episcopal conferences will go. We won't find out for a little while who else will be there in terms of experts or observers. But it'll be 2 weeks, and it'll be in October. There's some preparatory documents occur. And in fact, in many ways, the work beforehand is as important as the work of the Synod. So people listening today think, well, gee, I contributed something to this work. There's the first document, which is called the Lineamenta. That's Latin for the threshold. So it's the first document. And we've given some input. I know it's going to be heard. And we'll be soon finding out what that first document looks like. It's a first draft. Then there'll be more conversation and consultation. And there'll be a second working document. This will be for this synod, and then the work will begin, and we'll talk a little bit about the specifics, for a larger synod that will occur in 15. The Pope I guess it was November, so last year, issued an apostolic exhortation called Evangelization Gaudium, the joy of the gospel. Exactly. That's right. That's a very concrete thing that's having an effect on us. A lot of the things he had in there came from the Synod the year before. So I'm excited
on the
about
new evangelization.
On new evangelization,
very
exactly.
Yeah. Now, we, in this diocese, as you know, during the fall, we had listening sessions. We had a survey monkey out to invite Catholics across the diocese. This happened across the world to give us, to give you, and then in turn the Holy Father and the Synod Fathers some thoughts and ideas of what their experiences are. But what will be the key themes? Help me get into the inside.
I'm glad you said it,
further.
because we're really doing two things, aren't we? With the question of pastoral care within marriage. First of all, we got this rich vision that comes from Jesus and comes through the history of the Church of a vision of family life. The union of one man and woman, loving each other, God blessing them with children, and there being caring for the children. So just as the Holy Trinity is God who loves, so the family is kind of, if you will, a domestic church, a way in which that love is made present. There's a great vision that our Holy Father said, the family is meant to be the engine of history and of the world. And so when we look now at families, we're looking at the good of civilization, and obviously we're looking at the good of the human person, because it's in family that I come to understand what it means to be fully alive.
Wow. You know, I love the fact that the Synod title began with the word challenge.
Yes.
And I suppose that goes pretty personal. And as a husband, as a parent, we're all part of families, of course. But that just struck me immediately, the challenge of that. We've been talking domestic church for a number of years, and that was important. But when we start talking about that the Holy Father, that the Synod of Bishops will be helping us as a church to think about those challenges, whether the challenge is, frankly, almost an attack on the family sometimes. Secularism. Don't worry, your family's not going to make it. People talk about when you get married, how long will it last? They don't say congratulations, they say how long will it last?
Yes.
Kids
There's almost a cynicism, isn't there?
There is.
And it's a shame because people, I think our Holy Father has talked almost about an addiction of consumerism, he said it, where we get so involved with the material things that if we stopped and thought about it, the people we love are the ones that we want to give the most energy to, the ones we want to be most grateful for. But also, you said something very interesting, Brian, with the word challenge. In the real world, it's not easy. And that's what I think our Holy Father is saying. If we're going to accompany people, if we're going to see the person first, it's not just what is proclaimed by the Church, it's what's received. How is it helping people live that life? And I think that's what he wants us all to be eager to be with people, to extend ourselves to real people, and find ways to help them, in a sense, live that vision that is a call to each family.
So the Synod, at the end of the day, will it teach us something? Or will it just be a listing of all the problems?
Well, you know, that's a very good question, because in the past, we can go by synods in the past, and I give you just one example, is in the early 1990s, there was a synod talking about formation of priests. And the document that ended up coming out, it was an apostolic exhortation of Pope John Paul II, soon to be St. John Paul II, called Pastoris Dabo Vobis, Pastoris Dabo Vobis, I give you shepherds. And from that document, there was a full renewal of seminary training, our deacon training, probably much of the formation of lay leadership has come, and that was from that synod. So there's a bit of an engine that can come that we'll need to receive, and of course, we need to apply it. But I'm excited within the Archdiocese at the prospects of what this will mean to help us be good family within the Archdiocese.
You know, it's almost a little embarrassing to say, I don't think many Catholics pay attention to things like the Synod going on. But this one, for two reasons. One, the wisdom of the Synod Fathers and our Pope to say, let's start by listening first. That's not a new thing, but this listening involved modern technology and listening and then, of course, the topic. So those two things together, I think it's going to influence our local planning here for the diocese. Obviously, you'll be engaged in the synod process yourself. But also, what a wonderful statement for the Church now in this century to be helping all of us, because every one of us has a family context.
Right.
And again, those words, the context, that is so rich. There's so many good words
You're
here.
absolutely right, Brian, and I'm excited about it. And I think what you said earlier about parish planning, we talked about that last month, and diocesan planning, this is going to fit in perfectly.
Yeah, that's great.
It's great.
It's great. Well, this is the end of this segment, and we've got two more for this month, and thank you for this conversation, and you're going to have two new guests to spend time with you as we continue on with conversations with Archbishop Kurtz for the month of February.